Right, good morning. The Committee on Parole's call to order today is Tuesday, August the 15th, 8:25 a.m. My name is Brennan Kelsey. All me, Ms. Bonnie Jackson, and Cheryl Renassa will be your panel. Staff and support is seated at DOC headquarters in Baton Rouge. With staff and support, please introduce yourself. Our remote location is Vernon Correctional. With staff and support at Vernon, please introduce yourself.
Fort John, Burn Sheriff's Office. Deputy Barkley, Burn Sheriff's Office.
All right, we're ready for our first case. Please introduce yourselves. We're here for a parole revocation hearing. Please introduce yourself, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Michael Harris, 624-604.
All right, we're here for a parole revocation hearing. I'll read some rule violations. You'll plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty with a statement. We'll ask you some questions. You can respond at the end. You can make a statement. We'll take a vote. You understand the process? Yeah, okay. You have a parole revocation questionnaire there in the room in front of you. Do they have a parole revocation questionnaire anywhere in the room? Staff, do y'all have any? Okay, we're gonna put it on the screen. Okay, there's a picture of a parole revocation questionnaire. Is that your signature at the bottom, Mr. Harris?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, indeed.
all right, we'll move forward. Michael Harris, DOC number 628-604. Rule number 2. You failed to report to Leesville District Office of Probation and Parole or submit your monthly supervision report for the months of December 2022 through June 23. How do you plead?
No.
How do you plead to that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Do you plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, or not guilty with a statement?
Guilty.
Guilty. All right. 4A, you committed the offense of simple battery resulting in officer disturbing the peace and obstructing public passage, and was arrested on these offenses by the new Deanna Police Department on January 13, 2023. On 6/28/2023 in Leeville City Court, criminal under docket number 2023C14185, simple battery, pled guilty, credit for time served under docket 2023C14187, resisting an officer, pled guilty, credit for time served under docket 2023C14186, disturbing the peace, pled guilty, credit for time served under docket 2023C14184, obstructing public passages, pled guilty, credit for time served. How do you plead?
The fight done. It wasn't a fight. So
Right. How do you plead to that rule violation? Rule number 4.
14. Guilty.
Guilty. Okay. Number 4C, you admitted to the use and tested positive for marijuana on June 19, 2023. How do you plead?
Positive.
Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty.
All right. You're currently owe $187 towards your supervision fees. How do you plead?
Guilty.
All right, Mr.
Purple.
Do you have anything you'd like to tell us?
I was crossing the street and he stopped me and tased. I was L17 now. I didn't even see him. He slept me. It's Pelican now. He tased me.
Good morning, Mr. Harris. How you doing?
Pelican now.
Okay. Mr. Harris, I'm gonna tell you what they say happened. They say on the day you got arrested, you were walking in the middle of the street and there was a car behind you and the car couldn't move forward because you were in the middle of the street. And then at one point you sat down in the street and you were talking to yourself. And then another time, as the car was trying to go by you, you slapped the car on the side, and then you made your fingers like a gun and pointed it towards the lady and her two children that were in the car. And that's how the police ended up getting called because of what you were doing in the middle of the street. Do you remember that?
Purple out. That's mine. I remember crossing the street.
You weren't crossing it, you were walking in the middle of it.
It's purple there. It ain't no sidewalk there.
I understand, but do you remember sitting down in the middle of the street and talking to yourself?
I remember I was rapping and I tied my shoe. I don't remember sitting down. I can't say I was on my buttocks.
Well, let me ask you this. When you were at Dixon, you served time as Dixon, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When you were at Dixon, did they have you on some mental health medication?
Yes, ma'am. They weren't giving me my proper medication.
Okay, so but you were on some medication at Dixon, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you got out of prison, did you stop taking medication?
I had any more prescription.
So you weren't taking any medication?
Purple, I got some right now.
I know, but having it,
They doing it again, they ain't giving me the proper medication.
but my question is, I'm not asking you if you have medication, I asked you if you were taking it,
That's fine.
okay? So what's going on with you?
Nothing much, nothing. I'm just trying to live. I'm trying to see my kids. I ain't seen my kids yet. And other than that, I'm just trying to, stay out the way. I thought I was moving out the road. They had no sidewalk. So, if you scoot over a little bit towards the edge of the road, some cars usually just go around. That's what they, I've been living out here a long time. They don't try to run you over, get you out the road because they know ain't no sidewalk. Even kids. Even kids scoot over a little bit. So it's a wood line. It's trees and bushes.
I understand. Who do you live with, Mr. Harris?
My mother.
Okay, how do you get along with your mother?
Looking now, it's purple up. It's L14, man.
She's willing. Why are you doing that with your hand? Why you keep doing that with your hands? Yeah, that. Why you keep doing that?
Just looking now. That's L17.
When's the last time you talked to your mom?
When last time probably 47 there, something like that. About 49 there. It wasn't too long ago.
Okay, tell me again, how many days was it?
Like 47 and 1/4. Like I've like something close to that.
Let me ask you, okay, have you talked to her? Have you talked to her since you've been in jail?
No, ma'am. So like that, yeah, like 47 and L14 now. Purple up, something like that.
Where are you, okay, stop talking. Where are you supposed to be going to get your mental health medication?
At L17, it's down by Bird Hospital. It's Thrifty Way, Farmers.
Okay, but what doctor, where do you see a doctor for your mental health? You go to a mental health clinic to see a doctor?
Thirsty way. Thirsty way.
Can anybody in the room tell us anything about Mr. Harris? Have y'all had any problems with him?
We have not now.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
We have not had any problem with Mr. Harris now.
And I'm assuming y'all don't have any kind of psychiatric person that sees the inmates?
No, ma'am, we do not. We have a nurse practitioner that comes on Friday to see them.
Okay, all right. Mr. Harris, I think you need to be on your medication, and I think you need to have the right medication to help you, so you can function, okay? And they're not gonna give you the right medication where you are. So we're gonna have to get you moved to Hunt, where they can, treat your situation. And then when you're released, you'll be on the right medication.
I'm just here off of a misdemeanor. They tased me.
I know, well, they had to, because you were fighting them. You don't want to cooperate.
I was crossing the street and he
Okay.
tased me.
Okay,
I didn't touch nobody.
okay, all right.
All right, well, panel's prepared to vote.
I was going to see my kids. And
Okay, that's good. I'm gonna vote first. My vote today is to revoke your parole, found you guilty to Rule 2, 4, and 10. Also gonna be request that you be moved to Hunt's facility, Elaine Hunt Correctional Center, immediately to get mental health evaluation and follow up and get back on regular meds. Miss Jackson.
Okay. Ms. Harris, we're trying to get you some help. So my vote today is also to revoke because of the violations and to recommend they send you to Hunt so that you can be seen by a doctor and get the right medication.
That's Renee.
they give me medication help.
Let's go ahead and vote.
Mr. Harris, I do agree with my colleagues. You pled guilty to all the violations, and I do think you need some help with your meds. So my vote today is to revoke with the same recommendation. Good luck to you, sir.
All right, 3 votes to revoke your parole. There'll be staff. Could you get him, y'all work and get him moved to Hunt, please?
Yes.
All right, 3 votes to revoke your parole's been revoked. Good luck to you. We'll adjourn at 8:39. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Well, that's a first. He's obviously mentally ill. That goes without saying. They had a bunch of time going by while they're setting it up, so we can just have it playing for you in the background while I talk about this one. It's and sorry about my lighting. So right now what you're seeing is just the setup of his revocation hearing while I talk about this. So it's interesting, he's pulling out his hand like this, and he did it, I think, 3 times. And Miss Jackson's like, what are you doing? And he's obviously, is he in the middle of an episode? Is this just how he is all the time? Is this what it is off his meds? But what got him revoked was he's sitting in the middle of the road. He's creating a scene. And it's part of the system, I guess, which is what we're seeing here. You can see that mentally ill people are brought into the system. But I think what we're seeing here is that the system in a sense working, or at least not completely failing. I mean, he's brought to regular jail, handled like a regular inmate because he revoked his sentence, which we'll get into what he initially was in for. And then the parole revocation board actually sees him and says, wait, okay, it's obvious that you have a mental illness. Let's order you go to a facility that has the tools to handle that. So if you want to argue that the outcome was positive, at least, then I think that means something that, you could probably say that's a good thing. They didn't just lock him up. He was arrested for this on June 19th. So July, August, it took, like 6-7 weeks for him to get this. He didn't wait around for a year. Now, what is interesting about this case is that a lot actually happened to his original filing. And I'll put the links in the description, and thank you, Richard. It even made the news. So he on February, well, when did the date happen? On June 19, 2019, he went to a hospital, not for himself. This is when the incident happened. So Miss Miranda was at the hospital, Vernon Parish, Louisiana, to seek treatment. So she's going there because she needs help for something. It's midnight. She parks in a well-lit hospital parking lot. You're thinking you're safe and everything. And when she pulled into her spot and parked her car, all of a sudden, this is pretty scary. It's terrifying. And talk about PTSD and all the harm this caused. Her car door flew open, and this man jumped into her vehicle, which is, we always talk about being mental awareness and all that things. But, it's midnight. You're going to the hospital. You think you're safe. He grabbed her by the arm, and that's when the struggle ensued. And it was pretty violent struggle. It damaged her center console. Miss Welch, and this went to trial. And she said that she was screaming, and he let go. Then he grabbed her again, and he was screaming, "What's up, fool?" And some people came running from the hospital, and she was able to get her doors open because they had closed. And then the man jumped out of her car. A security guard came running. And then they detained him, and police came. So this guy, just from this instance, this is what he was locked up for, and then set on parole for, and then revoked. It turns out probably a mental episode he's going through, but still, you can't have someone doing this stuff that's out and free. You just can't, because it's just not fair to the public. And who knows what could have happened. Now they gave him like a pretty strong sentence, and an attorney appealed it. And October 20th, and again, I'll put the links in the description. They kind of won the appeal and lowered his sentence, it seems. So he went to trial. It was a 2-day trial. All this money, all this, right? This guy, who really seems like a mentally ill man, is causing all of this chaos in society, which of course you just can't allow. But I'm not claiming to know the answers. A jury found him guilty on February 12, 2020. And on March 6th, he had a legal team, they filed a motion for a new trial. And on June 3rd, the court denied the motion. On the same day, Harris was sentenced to 5 years for carjacking conviction and 6 years for the simple burglary, to run concurrently. The appellate court, however, vacated the sentencing this month, saying the court did not allow the appropriate amount of time between denying his motion for a new trial and the sentencing. The court cited Louisiana criminal law codes that require 24 hours between the motion of being overruled and sentencing. So they're saying because it wasn't 24 hours between the motion was denied and the sentencing, it's all getting thrown out, which is, there is a beautiful thing about the law for someone who is, you know, not famous, who doesn't have money, who's using defense attorneys. I think it's a beautiful thing when the law can be in the full force in the benefit of that person that is the underdog. But what is frustrating about that, of course, is that, you know, when you have when you can fast forward to the future, and here he is, and obviously no one won from this, right? Like no one wins. It just made things, you know, like you're trying to help him, but you know, just kicking the ball down the road. So in the case before us, the defendant did not expressly waive the 24-hour delay. So the opinion reads, for that reason, the appealing court vacated the sentence and he will return into the Vernon Parish Court for new sentencing and conviction. But obviously he didn't, I don't know what the end result is of that, sorry, but he didn't serve all that time because he's out, and then of course revoked pretty quickly, but on mental illness. But again, it's pretty clear that he is mentally ill. Now I don't know. Oh, here it is. It finally started. I don't know what the problem is. I don't know what I don't know what the solution is. Hey, you know, for a lot of you who watch this, who work at hospitals and work in jails, like, what do? You can't lock someone up indefinitely. You can't force someone to be on their medications. But again, I don't know the answer. I'm not claiming to, but it is a problem. And with that, I'll let you go.